ice. Getting slizzard.
That's not how it goes.
What?
Boots with the girl. That one?
That's an entirely different song.
That's what I thought you were singing. No.
Like a G6.
Robert,
Like
G6.
G6. No?
Like the G6.
Like a G dropping bottles in the ice.
Boots with the girl.
No.
Anyway.
No, this was sung by a young hot white woman. Speaking of,
I love it.
segued into that.
I was gonna say,
She would never do a rap kind of album.
Well,
and she
nowadays.
would. She would, and then she would get completely destroyed for it on the internet. She'd be like, "Yeah, fair enough.
No, she would.
Fair
rap.
enough. No, I shouldn't have done that."
She would rap sort of like how.
Like this.
I wouldn't say
did.
Taylor Swift raps. She has like songs where she's just basically more speaking than singing. Look what
Yeah.
you did to me.
Look what you did to me. Ooh, look what you made me do.
That's the one. Hello and welcome to Incomplete Geeks, a gay geek podcast where we talk about all sorts of geeky stuff in the world. Sometimes we know a lot about what we're talking about. Other times our knowledge is a little bit
incomplete.
That's right. I'm John. That's Nick. We're going to give you that old razzle dazzle because we're talking today about the Queen of Disco, Alison Blaire, aka Dazzler, one of the all-time best X-Men in the world.
All-time favorite, one of my all-time favorite X-Men.
Yes, one of our all-time favorites, and also a gay icon.
Possibly the biggest gay icon X-Men character I can think of, because more of an
Probably.
I think so. More of a gay icon than
anyone else.
Any of the ones that come.
Gay icon. I mean,
Emma.
the thing is, like, Emma's a proper gay. Yes, well,
she's a gay icon.
We did an episode about that, didn't we?
We've done a whole episode about Emma Frost.
Go back to listen to episode Incomplete Geeks number 50
for why Emma Frost is a gay icon.
Yes.
So let's talk about the easier one, similar one. Why Alison Blaire Dazzler is a gay icon.
My first question for you, Nicholas, is
Yes.
what took us so fucking long?
It's been on the list
talk
for a
about
long time
Dazzler.
because I want to save it up because sometimes you just need that extra little sparkle of joy.
We got to prepare ourselves because we don't want to miss anything. Heaven forbid.
And I feel like now in the world and the way it is, it's like now is the perfect time for a little sparkle of joy of Dazzler.
Sure.
So let's talk about all the reasons why Dazzler is a gay icon and the sparkle of joy for all of us.
And we're gonna a bit of a deep dive as well. We're gonna talk about Dazzler as a character, as a what she means, I suppose, why she's so important. You know, what her powers are, what she does, what she means to us.
And we're going to be drinking champagne from Aldi while we do it.
Yes.
Because we may be bougie, but we are not rich.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I have nothing else to add to that.
That should be another one of our taglines.
We may be bougie, but
we're not rich.
We are aspiring to be like Emma, but we are not Emma.
We're not Emma. Dazzler would 100% drink creme anglaise from Aldi.
Yeah, good.
If she was in this country, which she would.
She probably would.
She absolutely.
I mean, she
would
wouldn't have to, but she would.
In her past, she would have had to. She ain't got money.
Okay.
Dazzler does not have money.
So was she? This is a good.
Which is why we relate to her.
Nice little segue though, because wasn't she always like? I mean, I know that singing isn't her power, but she's an accomplished singer / dancer / performer.
Yes,
but was she? But she's not famous for that. She's not like rich, famous celebrity kind of status.
Ups and downs. She has been, and then she's not been. So she's been in her Dazzler era and her flop era.
And it has been. She's been.
Has been, never was, will be again.
So from what I let's jump into what our experiences are then, because
I would love that, because I would love to know, because I am a massive X-Men fan since I was a teenager.
Yep.
And 12, and Dazzler just kind of worked
so 60,
to be
60 years ago,
just about 2 or 3 years ago. No, that's gross. What am I saying?
What?
God, no, those numbers don't add up at all.
Considering what we just been talking about, how many people you've.
So Dazzler has been a part of my comic book reading pretty much since the start. Mm-hmm. But as a non-comic reader, I'd love to know why the fuck you give a shit about this character, and how the hell do you know about her?
Notoriously, I have never read a comic book. Not true.
That's fine. I've never played a video game. Or watch Doctor Who. That's fine.
Fine.
You don't have to be a complete
I like how
geek.
Doctor Who is like the standard. I've never.
It's a type of geek, and a video game is a type of geek, and comic
True.
books are a type of geek. You don't have to be all of them to be a geek.
It's
the name of the whole fucking podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the whole point.
We're trying our best. We're trying.
We're
working
So
on it.
tell me about your experience with Dazzler.
My introduction to Dazzler, I couldn't tell you a specific time, but I'm pretty sure that I have gleaned information from the LGBTQ community. And so like I'm pretty sure I've watched most of the original X-Men series back in the 90s, back in the day. And she's appeared in it.
Sure
So
has.
I probably would have heard of her at some point. But I think back like her claim to fame is basically being a singer and the lights that she creates from it. I don't remember sort of being sort of enamored by that at the time, but she's always sort of been there in the back of my memory, knowing that she's like almost like a B-list X-Men character kind of thing. You always know the main ones.
Yeah.
And because I've always loved the X-Men and loved these all the adaptations of it and other Marvel stuff as well because of the stories.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in what she brings to the story, which isn't a lot. But every time
I'm going to disagree with you there. But
okay. What, in the comics, you mean?
in the comics, yeah.
So like whenever she appears in like some video game or even in the TV show, it's like, what does she do? She sings. I'm like, okay, fine. Like I wasn't that kind of gay child where I was obsessed with any of the pop stars that were...
Okay.
That's a lie, isn't it?
That's a lie.
That's such a lie. But I didn't know. I didn't know why.
You just weren't obsessed with Alison because you didn't know about her properly. That's fine. Because
I think it's because I grew up amongst a lot of country music.
Oh, she ain't country.
She ain't country. So
She
I
ain't
never.
country.
So like only when I started growing more into my late teens, and I was like, oh, I like this Madonna song or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I like Britney when I finally got to college. You know, I never really sort of. I was already past the Dazzler time when I got to that point, so I didn't sort of attach to her all that pop songs when I was a young kid because I was surrounded by fucking Garth Brooks and George Strait and all that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with that if you're a big fan of that kind of music, but it's all a different style of music.
Yeah.
Kind of funny how I grew out of that. It's like no matter how much I'm inundated with country music, I still prefer the gay stuff.
Absolutely not.
So anybody who says nowadays that you can't, read gay books to children because they'll turn them gay, well, fuck you, because I was listening to country music when I was a kid, and I'm still
Didn't turn you straight.
Didn't turn me straight.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a side note. So now every time that Dazzler does appear in like a film or a TV show, people will point it out, and I will pay attention to the people pointing it out, and I'll figure out why. And the more I learn about the character and about the powers, I'm more interested in like the powers than the showmanship of it, basically.
Sure. I think that makes sense.
The only film adaptation that I think she was in was Dark Phoenix?
Phoenix.
And it was such a sort of
abortion of a fucking film.
which had its issues, let's say, and Dazzler had nothing to do with the story. No. So that was largely
garbage.
And then she's appeared in a few video games where I pay more attention, and it's just sort of, I'm more interested in the sort of the fan reaction to her being present than I'm about the character. Even though I still appreciate the character, and I think the character is very interesting in terms of what she can do with her powers, and reading about her to prepare for this episode, I'm like, oh, they actually took her original power set and did so many creative things with it. Yeah. That makes me ultimately vastly more interested in it.
The thing is, her real comic book time to shine was the 80s. So anything kind of sort of before and obviously afterwards, she's kind of become what is it like when a horror film's garbage but everyone loves it, like a cult classic,
kind of thing.
She's kind of become like that.
Yeah, I can see
people
that.
see her as a bit of a joke character, which you wouldn't if you'd read the runs that I'm going to talk about.
In the beginning, she was kind of introduced as a kind of
We'll get into
offhanded kind of character.
So she's kind of seen as because she's so campy and ridiculous.
Campy, yeah.
A lot of people love that aspect of it without having to see the character or read her in regular stuff or see her in kind of stuff, but they still love the spectacle of her. I imagine that's why she's become the gay icon that she is.
Okay. It's the spectacle and the campiness, basically.
Sure.
And the spectacality, the spectacleness.
Sure, let's say that.
The
spectacular.
The spectacularness is part of her power set. Like, it was how she was written, how she was created.
Yeah. Do you know why she was created?
Disco.
Do you know the... Yeah.
She was created because disco is a thing, and they
Yeah.
wanted it. The same reason Silver Surfer was created. I read about this because I was watching the TV show. Silver Surfer was created because Stanley was like, there's a lot of people surfing. I want to make a character that surfs.
Yeah.
They literally made just a surfboard character.
Great.
So I think that Dazzler was the same, wasn't she? She was just like, we want a disco character.
Sort of, but it goes a little bit kind of further. Yeah, because Silver Surfer was from the 60s, swinging 60s. Dazzler is obviously disco 70s. So she was created with the idea of making her a multimedia project.
I read about this, yes.
So the idea was to create a comic book character that they could spin off to be a actual singer, to be in actual movies and that sort of stuff, to create an IP that they could use across. Because this was the 70s when she was created, so this wasn't a time of Marvel movies.
This was late 70s.
Yeah. So it wasn't a time when, I don't know when Superman 1 came out, but that was the start of superhero movies. So it wasn't a time when this was normal. It was like, let's see if we can create a comic book character that we can make money off of from records, vinyl records and things like that. And we can put her in films and that sort of stuff.
So obviously they were planning on doing, on creating a singer about the character. A real person who
to
represent
do it.
her.
Initially, she was supposed to be black.
Oh, right.
She was originally, like, when they were thinking of her, like, what to do with her, they wanted to make her black and Grace Jonesy and that sort of stuff.
Kind of Donna Summer kind of vibes.
Well, more like that kind of, like Grace Jones, that kind of, like, it's not emo, like that weird kind of, like, alternative for the 70s, that they wanted to kind of create that. But it was the 70s, and it was, who was in charge of Marvel?
Jack Kirby?
No, bless him.
I got the thing here.
The big homophobe guy. Oh. Anyway, the editor-in-chief at the time, who
Marvel,
we will look into, was like, nah, she's got to be white because it's got to sell. And you know what? Maybe the 70s were racist. And so they kind of
really?
They kind of shocking if true.
John Romita.
Nope.
Roger Stern.
Nope.
Tom DeFalco.
Nope.
I'm just literally reading names.
This is great, though. Let's keep going. Nope. I can find out. He was the editor-in-chief that Chris Claremont fought with all the fucking time. He hated gays and obviously clearly black people. We'll find... We'll
insert it as a little...
And the name of that person was...
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. So he was problematic in a number of ways. So he kind of wanted it, or someone said, let's make her Bo Derek. Like, let's cast Bo Derek as her in the film that they were like, we can easily make a film of this. Yeah. We'll make records and that sort of stuff. So they changed from Grace Jones to Bo Derek. That's a bit of a fucking 180.
Was Bo Derek the one who's famous for Baywatch or Charlie's Angels?
No, she is famous for running on a beach in slow motion, but it's not Baywatch. She ran on a beach with cornrows, with that sort of stuff, that sort of stuff.
What?
Google Bo Derek. This is not a Bo Derek podcast, but the gays are screaming at us. It's like, fucking hell, you don't know who Bo Derek is?
No, I know who Bo Derek is. Was she the one? She's not from Charlie's Angels then.
No, but I can imagine why you would think that. She's very similar to Farrah Fawcett looking. It's the same sort of time as well. Anyway,
as you continue,
he would have wanted a blonde, pretty white person that they could have multimedia, so they could have created a film with her. They could have created music that would have been licensed out and that sort of stuff. None of which came to be because no one gave a shit about that. So she was made as a comic book character.
No one gave a shit about her being an IP.
No one gave a shit about comic book characters in the 70s. They were off their tits on cocaine. They weren't reading X-Men.
Cocaine was more 80s than 70s.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. 80s was cocaine. It was Studio 54, all the other drugs instead.
All the other ones.
All of the other good ones.
What was big back in the day? I don't know. Like, that's Bo Derek with cornrows.
Yeah, with the cornrows. Yeah. Which is also, like, you can 100% picture Ali doing something like that and then getting slammed for it in the media. It's like, you know what? You're right.
Like, why are you doing that?
100% wrong. Soz, guys.
I keep saying Alison Brie. That's not...
No, Ali. Although Alison would be...
Alison Brie.
She would be great.
You know how confused I was when Brie Larson was... Well, she got an Oscar nomination. She won an Oscar.
She won an Oscar.
And I was like, Alison Brie, is it the same person as Brie
Brie
Larson?
Larson. No.
Like,
I
no.
do love Alison Brie, though.
She's fantastic.
Love Alison Brie.
This is not an Alison Brie episode, but she did the voice of something as well. And I was like, that's fucking Alison Brie.
She's done a lot of voiceovers. She's Bojack in Bojack. She wasn't Bojack, but she was in Bojack Horseman.
Oh, right, okay.
As the Vietnamese character. She's like, shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
Whoops.
I believe you. But now I'm on a...
She's wonderful. We'll do an Alison Brie episode if you guys want.
We could do, yeah.
One of our
Should we do a community episode as well?
Yeah, sure.
Let me do that as well.
100%.
Add it to the list.
You'll need to lead that one. So,
fine.
Different Alison.
Gladly.
Alison Blaire, not Alison Brie.
I apologize if I say Alison Brie.
Although Alison Brie with blonde hair would be a great Dazzler.
She could do it.
Can she sing?
I don't know. That was the question in my head. She's only a year older than me as well.
Oh God, we're so old. So,
am I looking up? Is she singing?
What was the question?
Alison Blaire.
No, not that. So she was created as this white disco person character.
She's married to Dave Franco.
She sure is.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Please continue.
That's fun, and he's not as creepy as his brother, so that's fine. And he's hot. His brother's hot as well, but his brother's a bit of a rapey vibe. We're not doing this right now.
Cut all that.
However, like they also put out a casting call when they were casting for She-Hulk for an Alison Brie type character. She would have been wonderful as Jen. However, I love Tatiana Maslany. Love Tatiana Maslany. Alison Brie is like, oh my God, that's such a She-Hulk.
I could see her as that.
Really can see her as Jen.
Like Tatiana Maslany. I never
love
saw
Tatiana,
Orphan Black, but I heard it was so good. So I was like, yeah, fine.
Great. I could 100% see Alison Brie. And Definitely. She was like, I'll do it. Just someone call me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Where are we going with this? Alison Blaire.
We got sidetracked.
Dazzler.
Oh, she was in a Rick and Morty episode as well.
She sure was. She was Captain fucking Planet.
She was the planet.
We're doing a Captain Planet episode. Don't worry. It's on the list. And
you're going to lead that one.
I'm leading that one. That was great. Loved it. Anyway, this is not an Alison Brie episode. This is an Alison Blaire episode. We've got...
Did we mention we had a...
Oh, sorry. This is a drunk rave? Rather than a drunk rant because we're starting
a new thing, drunk rave instead of drunk
raves.
Rant. So let us know in the comments below if you think that this is if they think this works.
Who else should we drunkenly rave about? Because I got a list.
Oh please,
there's a ton of them.
I don't think negativity. I don't think positivity sells as well as negativity. But
it's certainly not my forte.
So many things we can.
It's certainly not my skill set.
And I don't know anything about things.
But here we are talking about Dazzler, and that's my skill set.
That's worth it.
So,
Alison Blaire, not Brie, a different cheese.
Yes.
She has.
What do you want to know? Where should we start? Pick a starting point, and we'll go from there.
So you started talking about how she was created as a media sort of transposition kind of thing, but no one cared about comic book characters.
No one really cares. We didn't sell.
I read because all of my knowledge for today is based on the Wikipedia. They basically dropped that within a year.
Mm.
So then what? What happened to Alison Blaire?
So she was first introduced, I guess because it was the most successful thing of the time, in X-Men. And we haven't got there yet in our Phoenix Saga read-through.
Right.
But
in X-Men comics.
She was introduced in the X-Men comics in the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Oh my God, we got
she was
a long
introduced
time before we get to that.
in either the same issue or the issue after Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost.
Why don't I tell you?
So if you needed any more evidence that Chris Claremont is a gay fan, he created Alison Blaire, Kitty Pryde, and Emma Frost.
Emma Frost, who's in bondage at the time.
In the 2 issues. Which, was it before or after? It was after, right?
What? What are you talking about?
Dazzler was introduced the issue after.
The character debuted in Uncanny X-Men number 130, dated February 1980. As an ally of the X-Men and subsequently guested in Amazing Spider-Man. Due to the character still being in flux, when these issues were produced, they featured some inconsistencies. Blah, blah, blah. Dazzler then rather than let the work go to waste, DeFalco would write additional exposition and other material to turn her into her own series in 81.
So let's talk about her origin because it's wonderful, iconic, and amazing, and a magical time for everyone. Yes, so Kitty introduced, Emma introduced in the same issue.
Yes,
Ali introduced in the issue after, in the Dark Phoenix run, one of the greatest run of comic books in history. So she was introduced.
And if you don't know Dark Phoenix and you want to have a person, if you want to be like me and not ever have read it and want to be introduced to it, go to our Patreon.
And tell us, because we are trying to do a Phoenix then Dark Phoenix read-through. So if you want to learn about it and be introduced to the characters with John, yes. I've known this since I was a child and I'm obsessed with it. But if you want to experience it for the first time with a couple of gays, join us there.
Yeah, give us...
That's where we'll be for the Phoenix Dark Phoenix read-along.
Which we are still working on, but it is definitely going to be there.
Just join for free and tell us, bitches, hurry up and read this. And we will. And we will. It will put us in our place. Put us in our fucking place.
That is true.
So she was introduced as a singer in a disco dive bar that Cyclops and Jean go and find, and then helps them to free the X-Men and help Kitty and beat the Hellfire Club, initially in Emma Frost. Introduced as like whenever she turned her mutant powers to transmute sound into light. So as a singer and a disco performer, she turns the music that she sings and is around her into a phantasmagorical light show to dazzle her audience. And her powers are very much that at the beginning. She creates complex light shows and that distracts people, and they go like, because it's so beautiful and wonderful, iridescent colors that they couldn't possibly have fathomed in the way that Chris Claremont likes to write. Superlatives that like boggles the mind beyond description. He loves to write that shit.
Very, very good for comic book medium as well.
Wonderful to put like 3 shades of pink and be like, it blew their mind beyond description because you can't see it.
You can't see those pink.
She had long blonde hair and like face glitter on everything, and wore like a jumpsuit and roller skates, and she was just the epitome of disco stereotypes.
Can I tell you something about the roller skates as well? On her Wikipedia page, under her abilities, like
ability to roller powers, skate,
highly accomplished roller skater is one of her abilities.
She was a roller skating disco diva queen.
Yes,
queen. Yes, queen. Boots down.
And in the end of the video game that I play, the game that she's a character on, one of her abilities is literally her skating in on roller skates and like blasting the team.
I need to know more about that when we get to her appearance in video games, because that's a very important part of my personal story. So I'm excited. Right, okay. I'm excited to hear about that.
Fine, we'll get there.
I was going to do should we do like a brief overview of her comic book appearances? Yeah. Will that take too long? Tell me if I'm boring, because I'm going to quickly power through them. And I'll
tell you what, go fast, and if there's anything that's confusing for me and or maybe the audience, I'll stop you and be like, hang on, what's that kind of thing?
So kind of thinking about her Eras tour, Dazzler's Eras tour, you kind of start with her disco era, which is her introduction, because she's supposed to be a disco character. She's introduced in X-Men, and they're like, let's make her, because, we put a lot of effort and money trying to make her a character, as a solo character. So through 70s and 80s, she has her own book where she is a disco diva singer solo character. And she has a bonkers extensive rogues gallery, including Rogue.
Yeah.
She battles Enchantress, Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, all these kind of... Enchantress? Enchantress definitely. Morgan Le Fay, maybe Spider-Woman. Sorry.
This is all in her solo.
Solo. Dazzler #1 is her being like, hey, Storm, do you have any money? Storm's like, no. Okay, bye.
Is that Dazzler #1?
Dazzler #1. Cool. And so they kind of try and make her this peripheral character, because they're trying to find a place for her after they do introduce her in the X-Men, but they're like, she could be in anything. She could be in all this kind of stuff. So she has a solo series. She interacts with a load of characters, including fighting Rogue on a number of cases. Okay. She becomes a herald of Galactus at one point for a very brief moment. Because there's no space particularly set out for her. She's not an Avengers character. At that point, she's not an X-Men character, because the X-Men are Chris Claremont-led and very angsty and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And she is... fabulous blonde disco diva. So whoever's writing her is trying to find a spot for her. Is she a magical villain? Is she beloved by the public? It kind of back and forth, and she goes around and has this kind of disco era of her solo title. I have no idea how successful it was.
I was going to say, is she like a famous person at this point as well?
Ups and downs. Okay. Like, she is famous and beloved, and it's a good plot point for her to be like, everyone loves her, she's a superstar. But then angsty is like, oh, you're a mutant, everyone hates you.
Very interesting.
It's a point to use. And I think that's can't imagine the book sold particularly well.
In the comics, does she go by the name Alison Blaire or does she go by the name Dazzler?
She goes by Dazzler.
Very important
100%.
point. Okay.
Dazzler. Whether it wasn't selling enough, it feels like very much the era that I love looking back. Her, Spider-Woman had their own run-up, Captain Marvel had their own runs, and they just weren't kind of hitting.
Yeah.
Whether it was like straight white men writing these female characters, it's just not quite catching. So she did her disco era for a while, for like the 70s to the 80s. Her most important, in my opinion, and I think most people would agree, is the 80s is when they brought her into the X-Men.
Okay.
So they bring her back into the X-Men. The story is kind of convoluted. So she appears in a New Mutants issue where they're like in gladiatorial stuff. Whatever. And then she's touring with Lila Cheney, who was a New Mutants character, that sort of stuff, in a band. But because mutants, because this is Chris Claremont writing it, mutants are hated. She's a known mutant. They're like, she can't be famous for being Dazzler because everyone hates her because she's a mutant. So she like joins another band and like dyes her hair black and it's like, oh, everyone hates me.
Oh, okay.
And then gets possessed by Malice and then goes crazy and then...
Malice as in Sue Storm Malice?
No. That's where it's confusing. Because
I really know all these words because of what you tell me.
Her Malice and the X-Men Malice are not at all related.
Right, okay,
which is confusing, I understand. Malice is a marauder character who possesses you, feeding on your inner insecurities and evil nature, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So she possesses her and makes her think, you should be the star. So she upstages Lila Cheney and then she's like, ooh, I'm going to be the star. And then the X-Men have to show up. So Storm, Psylocke and Rogue show up. So they like recruit her. It's like, it's not safe for you to be a mutant. And she's like, maybe. So
Okay.
she goes and joins the X-Men. When all the Morlocks are killed and it gets really dark and that sort of stuff. And she trains with the X-Men and they're like, you need to be tougher and you need to do all this stuff. And she's part of the group that battles the adversary and are killed on live TV and then are resurrected and go and live in the Australian outback in secret, pretending that they're dead so that everyone thinks the X-Men are dead. So they can like strike back at their enemies and that sort of stuff.
Oh, not just Dazzler, but all of them.
All of them.
Got
so very 80s, the Outback era
okay.
is very beloved in X-Men fandom. It's a time when there are no original X-Men on the team. So it's a team led by Storm. It is Storm, Rogue, Psylocke, Dazzler, Longshot, Colossus, Havoc. There's one I'm missing.
This is Nick thinking
because there's one I'm missing. How embarrassing.
Somebody's like shouting, ah!
It's this one.
We'll fill this one as well. Oh, the last person you're thinking of is... Yes, of course.
So anyway,
and
it's a really beloved. It's one of my favorites because they're not in New York. They're out in the outback in Australia, that sort of stuff. And
this is the 80s, you said?
Pure 80s. So I feel this is why I love Dazzler, is because she's very much a reluctant hero, and it's Wolverine. Oh my god. So she's a reluctant hero. She's a very good hero. Superpower, great powers, in control of her powers, but she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be like the rest of you.
She's a performer. She's not a fighter.
I loved her because she was an antithesis to Wolverine, because he's like, darling, you got to get tougher. She's like, I don't want to. And he smokes around her. She's like, I'm a singer. My voice. Can you please put your cigarette out?
Love it.
She will do it because it's the right thing, but she's not there to be tough and mean and shit. She's like, I'm a
hero.
Singer. I don't want to be here. And she's such an antithesis to Wolverine. She's such a gay, girly throughout that whole period, which is a wonderful period, and great writing, great art, that sort of stuff. And has a real human focus to it. So when all these, Storm's got her powers back, she knows what she's doing. There's Rogue and doing her Carol Danvers stuff. Everyone's very much in the superhero mindset, and she's there being like, I don't want to fucking be here, but I have to be here, and I want to help people. I don't want to be a bitch, but it's like, I don't want to be hard. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to fight if I don't have to. And so she's such a, if you're were a teenager and all the boys were like playing sports and you've got to be this way, you've got to be this way. As a gay looking, I was like, I don't want to be that way. I don't fucking have to be that way just to be a valid person. Yeah. And she was very much like, I don't want to be like you, Wolverine. Fuck you. But I'm still here and I'm still fucking more powerful than you. Yeah. You suck. And she kicked ass. It's
a very empowering thing, isn't it? If like be able to stand up against what the status quo is. It's very hard to write that kind of thing because if you write a character who just doesn't want to be there, that can be very tricky to sort of make people disconnect from that.
Like she wasn't, it could have been easy to make her like a shitty bitch character. Like, then fuck off, Alison. And it was never like that because she loved her teammates and she wanted to do the right thing and she gave everything. She died multiple times to do the right thing. She died beforehand. She died, all this sort of stuff. Okay. She wanted to do the right thing, but she's like, I'm not like you. I'm not going to be like this. And I'm not going to be gruff and tough. Shut up. Oh my God. Shut up, Wolverine.
I don't have to do it your way.
There's, thought bubbles where she's like, ugh, Wolverine, shut up. And I'm like, yes, right there is why I love you, Alison. Because you don't have to be that way to be a hero. And so that's where I feel like she shone. Because it was in the time where you could have whole issues where you're just like hanging around talking about shit. And you could see her inner workings and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
So that was awesome. The end of the kind of the 80s, 90s, when it shifted back to like the Jim Lee era, when we had X-Men #1, they wanted to get rid of all the weird space magic alien stuff and just be mutants. So in the 90s, the editor-in-chief wanted to whose name I still don't remember, wanted to get rid of all the weird shit. That's when Illyana became a kid again. Get rid of the magic. That's when Warlock was killed off. Get rid of the alien. That's when Longshot was sent off. Get rid of the alien. Mojo he wanted to get rid of all that, and it was like racism, humans versus mutants. In the 90s, that's what they wanted. So Alison was lumped in with Longshot and flung off to Mojo World.
Because they were kind of romantically linked.
They were romantically linked in the Outback, that sort of thing. So that's when they kind of got together. So that's when she disappeared and was a freedom fighter in Mojoverse. God knows how long. Short hair, long hair, back and forth.
Alison ventured into Longshot's native dimension, Mojo World, joining her lover and Lila in rebellion against the tyrant Mojo.
Yeah, so they kind of got rid of her and disappeared, and it wasn't for decades. It was just like, that's where she is, and we know Mojo's there, and he's bad. Mm-hmm. And then there's her modern era. So Mojo kind of often happened off panel, and then modern has been trying to find a place for her in modern comics. I think kind of since sort of like 2000-y, a bit before. She's popped back in. Like she popped back in when Jean had her own version of the X-Men. And then she popped back in the Utopia era. So she was in San Francisco with Cyclops, and she was given her own team. The now famous line, "Hi, I'm Allie. Hi," was from that era. If you know, you know. It's so great. And you don't know, it's fine. She was brought back in because she's a recognizable character, but there was only a few mutants, that sort of stuff. Right. And then she disappeared, and then...
Take your time. We can edit this later.
It's just trying to... It's like, it's been so... I can't believe it's been like 25 years, 30 years of trying to find a home for Dazzler. And her era that I know her from was probably like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And the rest is someone trying to figure out where to use this character. So she was in the Utopia era. She was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point, and then A-Force.
She was in A-Force,
which I feel is why she could be a movie star, is because of the A-Force, which is Secret Wars, Secret Invasion linked.
Oh, is it?
So would have been a good use of time.
And it says nowadays, I don't have any dates on my sort of character history or whatever, but she helped. There was a war between the X-Men and the Inhumans.
Yeah, X-Men. Yeah.
She was part of that. And then now she lives in Krakoa.
Even in Krakoa, like she was there, it's like, ooh, we have songs, and like, ooh, let's have a big scene where someone's singing and there's light shows. She's easy to put in as this peripheral character.
Yeah.
She's hard to put in within the narratives of a book. It feels like since Chris Claremont, it's they've struggled to write her as an interesting character, but she's fun to have in the background and like, oh, let's have her over here, let's have her doing this, that sort of thing.
I'll tell you something.
Tell me.
Because one of the questions that I want to ask you is like, why is she so popular nowadays? Why is she such a gay icon now? And because she doesn't fit as she I feel like she's destined to be a leader of some sort, but she's not an Avenger. She's not really a leader of the X-Men as well. But she did get a lot of she was popular because she had her own run. But that wasn't since the 80s. And so now it's like, what?
Well, she has her own run now.
Because, or does she now?
Yeah, she's back.
Because nowadays she's
not doing well.
She's a cis white woman who hasn't gone crazy. Because if you think about it, like
she doesn't
go crazy. So that is a female character who we can rally behind, and she hasn't been popular enough for the writers to be like, you know what, we should do something interesting with her. No, she's just her own thing. She's famous. She's good because of what she does, not because of what happens to her. If that makes sense. So if you think of any other sort of white female character, and it's like the only thing that we talked about this before. It's like the only thing that we can write about that character is to make them go a little bit power crazy.
Yeah.
And she's not that. She's just a strong female character.
She's had, because she didn't have a difficult past. She comes from a middle-class white family. She has a law degree. She's from, she's got some shitty family, but like afterwards.
Well, who doesn't?
Her sister has the mutant power to kill people with her touch, so that was a bit problematic.
I read about that, yeah. But she's immune, luckily.
Dad disappeared and that sort of stuff. But, she's not broken and dead parents and power to absorb people, that sort of stuff. So she could be this kind of privileged white woman.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is such an interesting place to take.
Because she's not really like that, though, is she?
She's a privileged white woman that you can do interesting stories with that you can't do with Jean Grey.
What do you mean?
So Jean Grey is the ultimate Marvel privileged white woman, right?
Yeah.
She is from a middle-class white person background, good education, comes from money, white person, that sort of stuff.
Right.
So the safe white women in the world could relate to Jean Grey, but she's a fucking cosmic being and the pivotal point and a love story, all this kind of stuff.
She's so super powerful,
core to the X-Men mythos that she's untouchable and infallible and perfect, and even when she slaughters people, they're like, oh, it wasn't her, it's Jean. It's she can't be messy, even when she is messy. That's why we get Madeline Pryor.
You're right.
So
not that messy is a bad thing. It's just that
I want messy. That's the point. Because we're
right.
all fucking messy. In real life, we're messy. So that's
which is why we kind of have that sort of attraction to Madeline Pryor or Emma Frost.
We're all
more
messy.
Than
or
Jean.
Fucking Dazzler, who comes from this privileged background, and she's like, no, I just want to go and sing, and I'm a rich white girl. And I was like, oh god, I'm earning no money. It's like, oh god, and now I'm dead, and now I'm stuck with these people I don't want to be stuck. She represents such a part of like white people culture. Sorry to say that, but like, where you're trying to do some good and you realize you're privileged, but then you're also like, oh fuck, this happened to me, like that sort of stuff. And you can make her messy and you can make her fucked up and shit happens to her, like when she was in S.H.I.E.L.D. She's like, I'm gonna be in S.H.I.E.L.D. and then Mystique kidnaps her, all this kind of stuff. She's not perfect. Jean is perfect.
Got it.
And can never not be perfect, because when she's not perfect, she's Madeline Pryor. Whereas you can
or the Phoenix.
Yeah, you can make fuck you Phoenix. Whereas you can make Alison messy, like for
real.
All,
you make her
for
real.
all the white women aren't bad, but they come from a place of privilege. But then you like, oh fuck, I fucked up, or like, oh shit, this isn't going very well. It's like, oh, I've been taken advantage of. But no one seems willing to do that now because she's kind of become a bit of a caricature.
Dazzler.
She's just like silly Dazzler. Hey, I'm Ali.
Which I think is
new
a shame.
Song. Look at this. This kind of stuff. And
it's a shame, really, because I think she has the potential for being really interesting.
And she's so beloved.
Yeah.
That it'd be really fun to kind of... But you'd have to put her on a team where she can push back and...
So tell me why is she so beloved? Like, why is she such... Should we get into why she's such a gay icon? Is it, like, what is gay about her character? Does she... Like, what is... I read somewhere that she's got, because of her sexuality, she's become a gay icon. But what about her sexuality makes her an icon?
Her sexuality is the straightest of straight white women you could ever meet.
Yeah.
But she is a disco singing queen with a boyfriend with long hair. Like, she, in real life, she would have been friends with gays since she was a teenager.
Because of
as
the
a
70s,
singer, she
yeah.
would have been friends with gays. She would have been a performing arts student. She would have been a drama queen. She would have been a drama nerd in school. Like, she's a fucking like
She would have been Bo Derek.
she would have been your best, girliest white girl friend.
Yeah.
Throughout everything, and she would love the gays. She's super straight. She loves boys and hot boys and sexy boys. But then, you know what? So do I.
So do we. So do the gay
we.
boys.
She would never kiss a girl. She might kiss a girl, be like, no, I'm not really into it.
So why do the gays love her so much then?
Because she is ridiculous and over the top and pretty and blonde and camp and unapologetic about that. She is girly. Girly as fuck, and always has been and always wants to be. Like, she was long blonde disco diva. It's like, oh, I'm a superhero, but I sing and wear roller skates. And then when she has to become an X-Men, when she's kind of military style Dazzler and she cuts her hair short, she's still like, but I'm a singer. And she escapes to go and sing, and she does karaoke when she's training with the X-Men in Muir Island. She goes and sings at an event in Scotland, and when she's out in the outback, she goes and sings. She is like, I'm not gonna not be a girly girl for you, Wolverine. Fuck you.
Just because you want me.
I'm not gonna be. And she never does. She wears pretty dresses, she wears heels, and but still a good person. So she's so unapologetic about her girly feminine side, while at the same time still being a lovely kick-ass, one of the most powerful characters.
Yes. She seems like she can balance that really well.
When she was part of the team, it was a really nice balance to it, that you can be. She was the powerhouse. She was a powerhouse of the X-Men. Her, Storm, Havoc, they were the firepower of that particular branch of X-Men. But she's still blonde and pretty and girly and sings, and she's like she's not. You don't have to be one to be the other. Not to take back to my other big influence, She-Ra. Like, you can be pretty and blonde and girly and wear heels and still fucking kick ass.
Yeah.
You can also not if you don't want to. You want to wear like trousers and be like mask. Cool. But you don't have to. It was such an 80s kind of aesthetic to be like, I'm super girly and super fucking powerful.
But that's not. It sounds like it's not her. It's not her. She doesn't put it in your. She doesn't put it in your face that she's like got all these sort of feminine attributes, because she is, like you said, she's everybody's friend. She'll do all this stuff because she has a really strong loyalty to her friends. But it's not like she can't help you out because she's too girly or whatever.
No, absolutely not.
It's like it's still part of her, but it's not. It's not the only thing that defines her. Correct? In a way, because she still has like the kick-ass powers and
gets better at her powers and gets stronger as she goes along. And when she's in the X-Men, she trains and learns how to get better. And you see her doing that. And like she learns, she goes from little sparkly things to, oh wait, I can make lasers now. Fuck you. And then she can make solid photon blasts of solid light. And she you see a training montage, because we love a training montage, as Chris Claremont does. Like Havoc's training and he misses, and Dazzler's like, give me a go. And she shoots them all. It's like, yeah. Good. She works hard to be good at it and knows what she can fucking do, and she works with Psylocke, and she works with her team to be better at what she does, that sort of stuff. Yeah, she's a strong woman without sacrificing her femininity. It's really important to her that she is girly pop at the best of times, but that doesn't stop her from being a fucking badass.
So why do they not have anything to do with her now? Because like they don't know what to do with her, or like I
think the biggest problem was because she was written out of the X-Men for the 90s, which is the key time when the world learned about the X-Men. Mm-hmm. We learned about the X-Men through the TV show, and because she was linked to Longshot
in the
and
world
Alien,
nowadays,
the whole world, us humans, not in the comics, us as readers and X-Men fans, they got rid of her with Longshot because of the alienness, weirdness stuff. They're like, let's get rid of her. And she was out of the comics from 91 to 2000, which was when we all learned about the X-Men.
So she was never really part of that.
So
narrative.
She will always be a peripheral character because she's brought in as either, oh, I read those old issues, oh, I love them, or like, oh yeah, I remember her from the side thing. She is not,
or because there's such a fan community that wants her to be around.
She's like a cult classic. She's like the B-side character that I love because she's not a main character. Like we all love because she's not a main character. She's not in the films or the cartoons, so she's like a peripheral kind of thing to it.
So what video games has she been in? And because you sound like you have something that I'm not aware of, but I probably would recognize.
You're aware of it. You're absolutely.
Which one?
You're absolutely,
the arcade game?
Absolutely aware of the arcade game.
Okay.
Yes, and it's important because that is how I discovered the X-Men, and I feel like
a
lot of people did. So, as I don't know what episode it was, we have famously watched Pride of the X-Men.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
They made that TV show, I think, just as or just after she was written out of the comics, but they made that TV show in 1989, 1990, I think. Pride of the X-Men was made.
Go back and listen to episode 35.
Jesus Christ.
To our rewatch of the first episode of Pride of the X-Men.
First and only episode of Pride of the X-Men.
Was she in that then? She wasn't in that. I don't remember her being in that. Wait, why did you bring that up?
She was absolutely in that.
Which one? Oh yeah, because we mentioned it like at the time. We were like, oh yeah, look.
Konami saw it and thought, this will make a good video game.
Yeah.
So they turned it into a video game.
And any powers that could be adapted really well to a video game.
Looks great.
She's got like blasts of light. That's perfect for a video game.
Perfect for a video game. And that is the video game that my brother and I played in SeaWorld in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother won the game as Dazzler. And then when
how much money would that cost?
A lot of money. That would have been a lot. I don't know if he won actually. Like, write in, Neil. Tell me if you won or not. I think you got far further than I did because I'm one of those video game players that doesn't like hold back and think. I just jump into it and then I died. I jump in, died. Whereas
who are you playing as?
I can't think why I wouldn't play as Dazzler, but Neil says Dazzler, so it's probably Storm.
Yeah.
But yes, so I recognized that game, and that game was everywhere, and it was fucking brilliant. So when that was on VHS, when Pride of the X-Men was on VHS, I was like, oh my god, I recognize this. Watch the VHS. I'm like,
that's
oh, this is good. And then was in the supermarket and saw an X-Men issue, and I'm like the cartoon.
And then the comics history.
That was it. And I, not for everyone, but I think that's a lot of people my age / older. It was a massive influence. That video game was everywhere.
You know what?
Arcade goers in the 80s, 90s.
I was very much into like what the arcade games that
Did you go to an arcade? You were in the farm. You didn't have an arcade.
We had an arcade. There was like a shop in our mall, the town mall, that had like just games, and I would always go there. But the one they had was the Simpsons arcade game.
Yes, I remember the Simpsons one.
And I played that forever and ever. And
of course,
you can get a port of it. We'd never had the X-Men one. I must have played it somewhere else. It wasn't at that particular store I remember of.
Yeah, we didn't because I was on a desert island. But when we came to the States on holiday, that's where we saw it.
Yeah.
So Dazzler was a massive part, and she is my first intro into the X-Men was Dazzler. So that's why I hold a special place in my heart for her.
Oh, that's cute.
Love it.
I'm looking at why because obviously they ported the Simpsons game, and of course you can buy the X-Men the Ninja Turtles arcade game as like a port onto PlayStation, etc.
Yeah, there's an app for the X-Men game. You can play it on your phone. Yeah, I played it on my phone. I played it on my phone when I was in Australia and sent it to my brothers. Like we can play. It's.
Well, you better fucking send it to me. I'll be very.
You can play it anywhere. It's great. It's great.
1992.
Great time.
So anyway,
what was the question? Her in video games. So that's a very important. Her appearance in the video games is what made X-Men for me.
I would love to play that again because I must have played it very, very infrequently, and I must play it again. We
went on a work event to some like East London crazy golf arcade because that's what you do when you work in fucking corporate in London, and they had the X-Men arcade game, and I got a little competitive and lost my mind. And the two gay me and my gay manager played as Dazzler and Storm, and we're playing as the girls. He's like, yeah, of course we are.
Of course we are.
It was great. Great time.
Because the thing is, like, I do remember Nightcrawler being an option to play as, and Wolverine. I don't really remember Colossus or Cyclops, but I do remember Cyclops. Anyway, those 6 characters, and you fight against Magneto.
You sure do, and try and save Kitty Pryde. And it's great.
Rescue. It just says rescue mission.
Oh yeah.
Kidnaps Professor X and Kitty Pryde, prompted the heroes to go on a rescue mission.
Great.
X-Men was ported to PlayStation Networks and Xbox Live in 2010. I will be looking it up. Do you want to hear a fun fact about the X-Men video game?
I would love to.
So it was available. It was ported to PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2010. So apologies for getting that wrong. Oof. However, it was delisted from both of those stores in 2013.
Why?
Money, probably. I don't know.
Fair.
Licensing? Who knows? But you can do it on there's like a special release, a special sort of computer emulator that you can get.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun fact about the port. Players could also choose between the US and the Japanese versions of the game. All the voices were re-recorded due to licensing reasons, but the script retained the infamous lines from the original game, including "Welcome to Die" and "I am Magneto, Master of Magnet."
That's
Apparently.
That's great.
Which I thought was quite fun. Yeah, so I will be looking into this thing called Arcade 1-Up, but they're not sponsored. We don't have to keep that in. But also because apparently you can have a lot of different arcade games you can play on your computer. So bookmark that page, which I'm doing right now. She's also, I told you about this game that I play. It's called Marvel Puzzle Quest. They're not a sponsor, so we can cut this out as well if you want to.
Can you imagine if Marvel was a sponsor for this podcast?
Particular game.
They would not like our previous episode where we rant about their fucking shit.
Could you imagine? No, it's basically like a Bejeweled kind of game where you match 3 colors and you play as Marvel characters.
Oh, shit. That sounds shit.
They're not a sponsor anymore. Anyway, it's very much like a game you play on the toilet.
Sure.
And there was there's a forum. It's such a popular game that there's a forum on it about this game where people just talk shit, and there's like a Reddit and there's a Discord, etc. There's a big fan following for this game, and
like Candy Crush.
It's not like Candy Crush because Candy Crush sucks, and also because Candy Crush is more about completing levels, where this is just sort of matching things to get powers and then use those powers to deplete the enemy's health, kind of thing. Anyway, they release a new character about like once every 2 or 3 weeks. Like there's so many characters to play as, and there was a time on these official forums when they would give a hint, like a sort of a clue to what the next character would be, and it'd always be like something like if it was going to be Moonlight, it'd be like, oh, lunar chivalry or something like that.
Yeah.
And then these people, it became a bit of a meme, or it's like a bit of a in joke where people sort of convolute the clues to twist it around to Dazzler somehow. Like, lunar means it's bright light, and Dazzler's powers are about light, so Dazzler is confirmed. Yes. And it became a joke until she was eventually released as a character, and they're like, haha, it was great.
That's great.
Yeah. So she like blasts. She can stun you and she does her roller skates things.
Does she have long hair or short hair in it?
I will show you a picture because I can pull up the game on my phone. So this is the character. Oop, I dropped her.
So yeah, long hair disco Dazzler.
Where's that's her character. And then like if you use her powers, you have like little animations, etc.
Cute.
That's all. So because
great.
of this sort of fan following, I was like, oh yeah, she's beloved.
She is beloved, and they just can't quite figure out what to do with her, which is a shame. I want to talk. Someone will.
So like about her sound and light powers. One of the interesting things because this is how I like this is how I approach characters. Like the powers are interesting. She can convert sound into light, but she can also kind of store that in a way.
Can. Yeah.
So it's mentioned very briefly in her Wikipedia page how she can just sort of like dampen sound. That's incredibly useful.
I honestly think it was used once.
Yeah.
In an X-Men issue where she was fighting the Juggernaut. So she was like, I need to charge myself up. So she absorbed all the sound around her, and she was like riding a motorbike, so it just absorbed the sound, and so he couldn't hear her coming. She's like, oh, and then it's such a Chris Claremont thing to kind of think of a weird little side effect of a power.
I love that.
It's great.
I love that.
I do too. That's why it was so kind of unique. I can't think of the time it's been used since, because she's not really been mainstay since then. But yeah, she can.
Could you imagine like just being able to not make any sound ever?
Yeah, but like one of the like limitations of her power is she can't use her own voice to charge her powers. She has to use other stuff, other sounds, because she can
just like shout like echoes. Do the echoes work?
No, I don't think so. But she has absorbed Black Bolt's scream.
That's powerful.
That's really fucking powerful. I think it was in Humans versus X-Men. It's a good video game character power though to have. Like she'll be in. Is she not? She's not in Rivals, is she?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
She should be. That'd be good power.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Super fun.
And because everything in
Do
Rivals.
it for Pride Month, Marvel. Get it out for Pride Month.
Who would you release in Marvel Rivals Pride Month? Who would you release?
Who's
Dazzler.
Even though she's super straight, but
Wiccan.
gays want it.
Wiccan and Hulkling.
Wiccans and Hulkling. Iceman?
And Iceman. No, he's already in it.
Oh,
I think. No, he's not. Is he?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe not. Perfect then. What do we hope? Is she ever going to appear in the MCU?
Yes. She absolutely will be in the MCU.
What makes you so sure?
Because she's awesome. Because if
Who's going to appear first, Dazzler or Emma Frost?
Emma Frost.
I agree.
Because Emma Frost is a list main X-Men. But the thing is, she wasn't always. And it took a long time for Grant Morrison to choose an avenue to put Emma Frost as a lead. And she was only put in because Colossus wasn't available and they wanted a powerhouse. So they made Emma Frost Diamond form. There we go. But to either on purpose or accidentally find that perfect little spot for her, that's when Emma Frost went from like, oh, I loved Emma Frost in the 90s to Emma Frost she's one of the lead X-Men.
Right.
If it ever happens, I don't know with the way that comics work nowadays, but it would need to do the same thing for Dazzler. It needs to... People keep trying. Like we've talked about all the different kind of places they've used her to try and find her little spot.
Do you think
in Marvel, which could, quite frankly, be of the fucking films. Because she's an easy fucking character to translate into films. Because a lot of people's powers do not work. And do not look interesting. Reed fucking Richards, good luck. Good luck, Pedro. But characters do not translate to a different medium. They don't always have to. Dazzler,
she really fucking
easily
does.
Cool music, hot blonde, light powers. That is so easy to use in so many cool fucking ways. We didn't even talk about Age of Apocalypse. I'm so sad. If you would like me to talk about Age of Apocalypse Dazzler on our Patreon,
yes,
go to, what is it? Patreon.com/gaygeeks.
That's it.
That's us. And join for free or for $1 a month or however much you would like to contribute to help support this podcast and help it grow and do more cool shit.
Yep.
And get in contact and tell me, let's talk. Because Age of Apocalypse Dazzler is an entirely different beast, and I would love to talk more about that. We've been talking about this for over an hour, and I think you've probably fallen asleep on the toilet, so you don't want to hear any more about this.
Or they put it on as they're falling asleep.
As you're falling asleep, and that's absolutely fair. But we'll do an AOA episode for sure.
We should do.
Oh my god, there's so many AOA characters we could do little ones of. Oh, that'd be great.
And I know none of it. So I need your help, listener, to guide Nicholas to what we should talk about.
This would be great. So, because Age of Apocalypse was a great example of, like, they took a little sidestep to make this cool, like, ooh, shocking comic book event. And in doing so, with characters that were, like, forgotten about and they used in this kind of alternate reality, people really responded to those characters and they're like, oh my god, I love them. And so they either brought them back or changed the mainstream timeline to do that. Dazzler wasn't necessarily one of those because she wasn't like Blink or any of those kind of characters. She needs that kind of moment. She needs a vehicle, a storyline, anything. Film, which I think would be the films. Honestly, the films would be great because she's an easy character for people to fall in love with, and then the nerds would be like, oh my fucking god, it's Dazzler.
Yeah, and because she doesn't have a lot of background stuff that they feel like you'd have to follow.
No, because it's so bonkers.
They can do something brand new with this if they put her in the films.
Because if you made her a cosmic person, or you made her a singer person, or you made her a Lady Gaga, please God don't, Taylor Swift kind of character.
Remember that Taylor Swift rumors?
People were obsessed with making Taylor Swift Dazzler. You could make her 80s Dazzler. You could make her Mojoverse Dazzler. You could do, because she's done it all. Whichever works for the film, for the story, for the medium, for the look you want to do.
And people still
and she would
love
look great. And if you did it well and you cast it well, that's what I think would need to happen. You need to find the vehicle, the kind of like little spot for her where she can shine, and not literally where she could shine. And I do think it's the films. I think it'd be great.
Last question.
Tell me.
Who would you cast as her in the film?
No fucking clue.
Well, we already
A
said
newbie.
Alison Brie.
If Alison Brie could sing, she'd be great.
We'll figure
but
that
I
out.
don't think she can because she would have. I feel like
Do
we
you
would have seen
need
it
do
by
you need
now.
a strong singer then?
Yes.
Sabrina Carpenter.
No.
We don't know if she can act though.
I don't think she can.
Ariana Grande.
I love Ariana.
There you go. She's got an Oscar nomination as well now.
No, not bad.
Is it? Because I feel like Ariana Grande, she seems a bit, well, because we talked
She's
about how
too famous.
I was gonna say she's too. I don't mean this in a negative way, but she seems very frail to play like a Dazzler
I know what you mean.
character.
Yeah, teeny tiny skinny.
Teeny tiny skinny, yeah. Which is not a dig, but like obviously we
Yeah.
love Ariana Grande, but like if we want to cast somebody as Dazzler, you need somebody who's a bit of a fighter as well,
Yeah, but she's girly.
but also girly.
That's her thing.
Also, your
is
be-
she's
like your
super,
best friend
super
girly. Like
yeah, she's super girly.
if you, dear listener, have any ideas,
Renee Rapp.
don't know who that is.
Oh, Rachel McAdam. If she was big.
Go Rachel McAdams, yeah.
Love
She-
Rachel McAdams.
Or who's the other one who could sing? She was in Mamma Mia and
Oh shit! Not bad.
Why is her
Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda Seyfried.
Seyfried.
Yeah,
A little bit,
maybe.
maybe a
Too
bit old, but not bad. Not a bad Dazzler.
There you go.
Beautiful singing voice.
Yes.
Really silly and girly and camp, but you can make her sarcastic and bitchy. Ooh.
I think she's got the acting chops for it as well.
I do as well.
Right, well, so then end on Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah,
If you
I'm happy with that.
If you have any other ideas, dear listener, let us know. You can write to us at incompletegeekspodcast@gmail.com. We read every single email. Go check out patreon.com/gaygeeks for fun extras. It's free, but you can also give us money if you want to.
Give us money.
Yeah.
Or you could tell us about your fan casting. Tag us if you do a TikTok or an Instagram or
yes.
Instagram reel at Incomplete Geeks. Tell us why you love Dazzler.
Yes.
If you're gay and you love Dazzler, tell us why you love Dazzler, because I'd love to know, because I probably missed it or forgot about it.
Help us geek out. Help us have a gay fun. Because everything that we do here, we do it for fun, and we get stuff wrong sometimes. We're really sorry. We're not complete geeks.
But we are working on it.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love